In this video, we are going to be installing and testing the new camera from Reolink. This is the Duo 3 Wi-Fi. Now, if you've been around the channel, you know I've done a lot of security camera reviews, and recently a lot of the cameras that we've had on, the new trend has been solar powered and battery. This is a little bit different. It is hardwired, and I have been hearing from a lot of people they don't want to deal with batteries and they don't want to deal with solar, so this might be a solution for you. But you're going to want to stay tuned to the end of the video, because whenever I do these, I do a full, thorough comparison, and if you've seen some of my videos, I do point out cons when I come across them. I want to make sure I'm doing a thorough, honest review so you can make an informed decision if this is what you want to spend your hard-earned money on. So what we're going to be doing in this video is first showing you how this thing is set up, and then putting us through its paces, and then we'll show you everything we came across, all the pros and cons, so you can decide if this is the camera that's right for you. Now, if you want to check out all the specs on this camera, I will have a link for it down in the description below and also in the pinned comment. So we're going to set up the camera. Like I mentioned earlier, this one sets up a little bit different than other cameras that we've had. It's powered, but it also has a port here for a network cable. Now, apparently the network cable is only needed for the setup portion, so we're going to click that guy in, and then also plug in our power to the camera. So now with the camera hooked into our internet and powered, we can now go into the Reolink app. So if you haven't already downloaded the app, set up a free account, and then we're going to go up and hit the little plus sign. It's going to want to scan for a QR code. There's a QR code on the top of the camera, so we're going to scan the camera. And now it's going to try to connect to the device. Now you do need to make sure that your phone or your tablet is on the same home network as the camera, and it'll start initializing the device. So it found it. Now, something else that I've run into on the Reolink devices that I haven't had on other devices is you have to enter a device password for each device. So you have to create a password for the device and put it in the app. So we're going to create a password. I'm going to do that not on camera, so you don't see all my passwords. Now, one of the neat things about this camera is a lot of the other devices that I've dealt with only work on 2.4 gigahertz networks. This one will work on 5 and 2.4. It's Wi-Fi 6 compatible. So we're going to hook it up to our 5G network. And again, I'm going to put my password in, and I'm not going to show it to you. But you notice my network name was Hal. Leave me a comment down below if you know where I got that network name from. All right, so now with everything set up in the app, we can take this thing and go and install it outside. Let's meet you in the backyard. So we're in the backyard, and this is the mounting thing that I've set up where I test most of the cameras that I've had on the channel. Now, another thing that I found different about this one is a lot of the other ones use this thing over here. It looks kind of more like a pivot mount, a ball head mount. This one has an actual mounting plate and then an arm that the camera mounts to. So we're going to mount this plate up and then get the arm attached. When you're setting this up for you, you should note that this arm can mount in both directions, and there's a threaded bit on the top and on the bottom of the camera, so you can mount it in both directions. So the mounting arm slips over the plate. And now you got the arm attached. Now we attach the camera to the arm. All right, so we got the camera on, we've got it angled, and the beautiful thing about this camera is because it is a 180-degree camera, I basically just point it straight out in my yard. It should get the entire yard. Now we just got to get power hooked up. Now with how I'm running power, it's a little bit different in that there is a little hole in the mount that you can actually run your power cable through and have it hidden inside this track. Now in my situation, I'm not running to the inside of my house, so what I'm going to be doing is just plugging it in here and running it to a socket. That would go right over the back, and then we're going to run this to power. If you're doing this on the side of your house, you are going to have to drill a hole in your house and run power to the inside where you can plug this into a socket. So now we're going to run all the tests that we normally run on all of our cameras on the channel. And these are things that you're going to want to know if you're going to be buying a camera for yourself. So we're running through all the normal stuff. The first test we do is a reaction time test. How long from me walking into the detection zone does it take for me to get an alert on my phone? So what we're going to do is we're going to start by walking into the detection zone now. Hit the start button. And I just got an alert. 2.9 seconds. It was probably a little delayed, but we're going to say 2.9 seconds. And to be straight up with you, that is probably one of the fastest reaction times I have ever had on the channel for any camera. I don't know if it has something to do with this thing actually running on 5G. Most of the other cameras run on the 2.4 band, so it might be a little bit faster there. Okay, so now we're going to do the exact same detection test at night. I'm going to enter the zone now. and I can already see that. Boom. Wow. So I was a little late on the stop. I 4.6, I'm gonna say it was right around 4 seconds, but that was 4 seconds from me coming around that corner. I immediately saw the IR lights come on, the spotlight turned on. I got the detection in 4 seconds. And the neighbor's dogs are saying hi. And I do want to point out, this is probably one of the brighter lights that I've had on one of these security cameras. But right now, I just want to show you some footage of me walking around the backyard, both with that light on, and then also in the night vision setting where that light is not on and the IR lights are on. So now let's take a look at the quality of the footage that the camera is actually capturing. Now this bit of footage here is night camera footage, and this is using the IR LEDs. So you're getting black and white night vision. Now you will notice here right in the middle, that's the little crossover right there where I've crossed between the field of view of one camera and then the other. This next bit of footage, instead of using the IR LEDs for night vision, I'm using the camera's light, the white light instead. So you see as I walk into the field of view, that light kicks on and illuminates me. Now, the one thing I did notice with both the IR lights and the white lights is if you're standing directly in front of it and moving, it tends to wash out the image a little bit, making faces a little bit harder to recognize. Now here's some footage of me trimming my trees in my backyard. Now something I do want to do really quick is zoom in on something with a lot of fine detail. So what we're going to do is zoom way in on me so you can see the detail even when you're having to crop the image way down. And the next thing everybody wants to know is, now we're going to do the speaker test. How good is the speaker on that camera? So what I've got is So now we're going to do the speaker test. How good is the speaker on that camera? So I've got my camera set up 10 feet away, and we're going to walk off screen and talk through our phone and see how the speaker sounds. And then we're going to flip it. I'm going to talk to the camera and record the phone so you can see back and forth how that dialogue would work in a real situation. This is a test of the speaker on the camera with the recording device set up about 10 feet away. And here's the audio going in the opposite direction. I'm about 10 feet away, which is the same distance that the camera was before. And if you're hearing any background noise, I do have a waterfall in my koi pond going, and my neighbor is pressure washing his car right now. So now that we've shown you the footage and the camera in action, now I'm going to show you the app and how that thing breaks down. This is kind of going to be a quick and dirty of the app because there's so many things in here. We're going to just cover the basics. So for starters, I'm going to put the app up here over on the side, and you can follow along with me. Now, I want you to see something here because I've noticed this in this app. I'm going to click on the camera itself, and it's going to bring up the live stream. The live stream pulls up pretty quick, especially since I have garbage Wi-Fi here at my house. Quicker than most of my other cameras. So I'm gonna guess that that has something to do with the camera being able to run on my 5G network when all my other cameras pretty much are having to run on 2.4. Now let's get into the actual app itself. So with this screen here, if you flip it sideways, it'll go into full screen mode. And something to take note is down at the very bottom, there is a little thing that says high, and you can go high, balanced, or fluent, or clear, balanced, fluent. Clear is going to be the clearest image you can get out of this thing. So when you first start it up, it usually isn't defaulted to that, and you'll get worried that it's blurry. So let's get into the app. The little gear button will get you into all the nuts and bolts of the camera. And this camera, the Reolink cameras in general, have a lot more that you can do with them than a lot of the other cameras. So I'm not going to go over everything here. But the big things would be coming down to like these sounds. That's recording audio and the demonstration I did before. You do have to turn on record audio. It defaults to off. So you're going to want to turn that on if that's something that you want. If something you don't want, leave it as is. Moving down to light. This camera does have a spotlight on it, but it also has the infrared night vision as well, which we kind of showed you. This is where you set that up. You can turn on and off the infrared. You can also turn on and off the spotlight and adjust how bright it is. Like I showed outside, the spotlight on this thing is actually really bright. So depending on how much light you want, you may want to turn it down a little bit off of full. Coming down further is the detection alarms, and there's a lot of different settings. You can also set non-detection zones. That's pretty typical with cameras, but if you have a wide yard like I have, and say you have a gate or a view of a sidewalk or something like that, you can set that up so it won't alert you. The motion mark puts the little green box around what it sees and identifies as a person. Sensitivity says sensitivity. Alarm delay. This is an interesting one because I haven't had this on any other camera. Alarm delay is how long of a delay it gives you between when it senses the motion and it decides to tell you about it. And the reason you would want something like that is if you have a front door situation, and you don't need to be alerted every time somebody walks up to the front door to drop a box, but if they're loitering around your front door, like about to do some bad stuff, then it'll alert you. Same thing with cars. It won't alert for a car that drives by, but it'll alert for a car that stops in your driveway. So kind of a neat feature. I've never seen that before. So moving down to object size, you can also adjust object sizes. Same kind of thing where you can have it filter. If it has a person because it's way up in the distance, it won't alert. It'll only alert when that person gets to a certain size in the frame. So features I haven't seen on other cameras, but I have seen now on the Reolink cameras, kind of nice stuff. You can also do other things like email alerts where it will email you. So say you don't have your phone or device, but you want to be alerted, it'll email you. FTP is if you have a home server and you want everything saved to your home server and you're not using the Reolink hub. And the last big thing in there is the siren. The siren you can turn on when motion is detected. It'll actually set off a siren. So if you have this in an area, say a locked yard at a business, and you want it to go off every time there's motion, you can turn on that siren. Now, another feature that I haven't really shown too much of, and it's more because I just didn't have a large enough SD card to really justify doing it, is the 24/7 recording. Now, I did have another Reolink camera that I had some trouble with, so I didn't wind up doing a video on it that advertised 24/7 recording, and it didn't really live up to it. This one does. You can set it up to 24/7 loop record, and what it'll still do is it'll show you when the action happens, but it'll record 24/7 on the off chance your camera misses something. So we've ran this thing through its paces. We've shown you the daytime footage, the nighttime footage, the reaction times, the speakers, the microphones, and all that good stuff, and the app. Now let's go over the pros and the cons, because I want to make sure that you have all the information, including the downsides, so you can make an informed purchasing decision for yourself. So first, let's go over the pros, then the cons. The first big pro are these two giant googly eyes right here. That's what gives it the 180-degree sweep of vision that this thing has. I've had other cameras on the channel that are pan-tilt cameras, and while those are neat, the comment I get on every one of those videos is, if the camera's looking here and something happens over here, what happens? And the answer is, you don't get to see it. It's gone. With this thing, it has all that and is recording it the entire time. So there's never a point where you are missing things. It's going to get everything. If something's happening over here and a bad guy comes in over here, you're going to have the whole thing. Now, a concern that I had when I started looking at the 180-degree cameras, and I've had two of them on the channel now, both from Reolink, is if you have such a wide view, what are you getting resolution-wise? And the answer is still very good resolution, because they're using two cameras instead of one, and they're stitching that video together. So you're basically getting two 4K images stuck together in the middle. So you can pinch zoom way down, like I showed earlier, and really see what's going on. And you can actually read small text even. So the vision on this thing is very good. Also, the night vision was very good. It's illuminated with IR illuminators, so it has night vision if you don't want the big lights coming on. And then it also has lights that can kick on if you want full bright lights with color night vision. So the night vision at both times was very good. The other thing I showed in the app was the responsiveness of the app and really the responsiveness of the camera. And I think a lot of that has to do with these things. Most of the cameras I've had on the channel, actually I think all of them, have run on 2.4 and not 5 gigahertz. And that is because most cameras, the reason they do that, 2.4 has a better time getting through walls and does better at distance. You need pretty substantial antennas, and even then you're going to have issues with 5. They put these two big rabbit ears on here, which I suspect is why this thing is working so well on that range. So that is nice, and a lot of people have asked for that in the comments on other cameras, so very good. The build quality of this thing is stout. Everything is gasketed, the antennas are gasketed. It does take an SD card on the bottom, that is gasketed and screwed down as well. So the camera itself is built very stout. I will address this part in a second. It also, and I didn't really show it too much in this video, it can do 24/7 365 loop recording, depending on the size SD card you have or if it's downloading onto a home base, which I don't have here. I got almost 0 false alarms. The only false alarm I got was every now and then this thing would pick up a reflection in my pool and think it was a person, but that was once or twice a day max. And that was only when the wind was blowing. Other than that, I really got no false alarms. The app has a lot of features, and you could say it's complicated, but it is relatively intuitive to get through the app. And once you kind of wrap your head around it, it's pretty easy to get through. So the camera is pretty easy to set up. The app is pretty easy to set up. And overall, it's a pretty darn good camera, but not everything's perfect. So let's talk about the cons with the camera. And there were a couple that I came across and things that you should just note. The first con is the SD card, that it takes an SD card in the camera, so therefore all your footage is saved on the camera. If somebody walks over to your camera and yanks the thing and takes off with it, your footage is gone. However, if you do set this thing up with the home base, or like I mentioned before, it has FTP, which gives you the ability to save the footage to a home server, you don't have that issue. But just know that if you set it up as is, all your footage is going to be stored on that SD card, and if it walks, all the footage walks. The next thing is the bracket. Let's talk about the bracket. The first thing, this mount. The actual arm of this mount is plastic. This camera, it's not as heavy as some of the battery cameras, but it is a pretty rugged built camera. But the mount is plastic. A good hard smack would break this mount. And the other thing is plastic gets brittle over time. So this thing's gonna get baked in the sun. So I'm really nervous about having a mount like this outside. The other thing is this wire. You obviously on a wired camera are going to have a wire, but you also have this end. This is that Cat 5 end. I don't understand why they didn't just put a Cat 5 connector on the underside of this thing where they already have a waterproof hatch. This connector here on the end is too big to fit through the hole that they made in the mount. So you can't actually slide it through. So that means this part of the wire will go into your house, and this part of the wire you're gonna have to kind of tuck or zip tie or I don't know what. Now upon closer inspection, I thought you might be able to take the cap off and feed it through, and you would think that, but nope, it is still, let me see if I can get that to focus there. It is still just barely too big to get that through. If you were to install this on your house and you had the tools to do it, I would yoke that hole out just a tiny bit so you could feed this through, and that way you can get this all the way up inside your house. But that's something you can DIY at home if you wanted to. Now, if there's anything that I missed or anything you still have questions on, please leave me a comment down below. I'm always happy to answer questions down in the comment section. Now, I hope this video did help you out. I do a lot of videos just like this where I take things, give them honest reviews, and actually go over pros and cons. So if this kind of stuff is what you're into, hit that subscribe button, thumbs up, all that YouTuber jazz, and of course, thanks for watching.